Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Reactor, and this is Quinn, and today's article comes from WCTV.tv and says Florida Democratic Party under investigation for election fraud.
No kidding.
Every party's under investigation for election fraud, aren't they? Tallahassee, Florida. Democrats conceded in the races for U.S. Senate and governor, but not Florida, and asked federal authorities to investigate possible election fraud conducted by the party. The U.S. Department of Justice declined, but the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the Office of Statewide Prosecution say they have opened a criminal investigation into the allegations. That is not my fault.
This is not your fault at all. Who writes
ridiculous.
This? I would expect this from like Broward County, but this is Tallahassee.
Is this a Broward
That's
County
not Broward
article?
County.
Anyway, evidence reported to the Department of State suggests a possible effort by Democrats to have voters fix ballots after the state's deadline in at least 4 countries. So, one of the things I know is that the Democratic Party is considered a private organization or something.
Okay.
You know, it's like that's why they were all, it's like, yeah, they cheated in the 2016 election for the primary.
Right.
But they're allowed to do that because they're allowed to do whatever they want. You know, if you want to keep following them, you're an idiot, but go for it.
Right.
You know, they're obviously not doing things legitimately.
Right. Above board, no.
Is any party doing anything above board? Probably not.
Matter.
I'm sure they all cheat in their own little areas. I'm sure there's really honest Democratic counties and places,
Right.
boards or whatever, but they're all cheating. So, I mean, if I lived in an area where I knew they were cheating, like Broward County, it's like obviously they're up to something weird.
Right.
First of all, I would move out of there.
Does your vote even count it down there?
Yeah, there's something weird going on there, but cure forms for mail ballots sent to voters by the party show the return date changed from the day before the election to 2 days afterwards. Democratic strategist Steve Schale says it was likely just a mix-up. Yeah, probably right. Why would they trick their voters into not voting? That doesn't make sense. Unless
Right.
they planned on using their votes for something else. But
Unless they knew what their voters were going to vote?
yeah. Some 23-year-old staffer probably got 2 dates mixed up, said Schale. They put the date down for the provisional ballot cure, not the absentee ballot cure, and actually by doing it, all they did was make it harder for their own voters to vote. Yeah, it's not really, they're not really doing anything wrong. I mean, it's like you can make mistakes. I don't have a problem with that, but
Right.
I mean, it's going to hurt you if you make mistakes that hurt you. But I'm not going to be mad if they accidentally cut out a bunch of their voters, right? And it's like,
Right. We don't really know. I don't think they really know exactly
If
how everyone's going to vote.
if
And
the Democratic Party somehow made it so that Republican voters had that mix up, that
right.
would be fishy.
It's just all Republican voters.
Like,
That's a
whoops.
problem.
Yeah, we accidentally gave you the wrong date.
Oops.
And what was it? Doesn't Twitter ban people? They were banning people for tweeting about the wrong date.
Right.
Because the election was on the 6th, and then anyone who said 7th was banned from Twitter.
It's
Even
so
if it's
crazy.
a typo. Yeah, it's crazy. Republicans point to the fact Democrats successfully sued to extend the deadline after the fact. It looks like they were just planning on a judge siding with them because of the bias towards trying to allow as many voters as possible to count that were legally cast, said Eric Eggers, author of the book Fraud. It's the first evidence we have of systemic efforts to undercut or subvert election law as it was on the book. Is it? What? I don't understand.
There's definitely some fraud going on with electronic voting machines, and I think
Yeah,
it could be traced back sometimes to like the manufacturers even. Whoever's doing deals with these voting machine companies should be under the scrutiny.
No, not even that. If you're in charge of an election in your area, like say you're the, I don't know what they call them, the election committee leader, shouldn't you test your machines before having people use them?
Right. And how can they all be different machines?
Elections are important.
No.
Different machines aren't a big deal because they don't use different machines, I don't think, in the same voting building. Like if you go to this building to vote, you'll have these machines. Like whatever. Having different machines actually makes it less likely that one company can take over an election illegally with
Oh, right, that makes sense.
taking advantage of people. But I don't know. I think, whatever. Supervisors of elections who brought the changed forms to the state's attention say even if it was just a mix-up, official elections forms should never have been altered. Yeah, and like I was saying, it's like elections are important, right? Like, don't you think? So maybe we should just, what's wrong with having some intern? Well, I guess it would be an intern, or having a couple people test the machines. Like, yeah, everyone put 50 votes in, and not real votes, just test votes.
Right.
And then if there's any issues, we take that machine out of service.
Seriously.
It's like every election there's like reports of like machines malfunctioning, and whether it's done on purpose or not, you can stop that by checking the machines. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like there's always going to be a way to fraudulently count votes. There's always going to be a way to mess with something that's a machine. You can't trust people with paper ballots. They've always been corrupt.
Or was it? Yeah, they were erasing them.
I don't think there's ever going to be a way where you can 100% say this is a legit election vote counting.
Unless you can say the election supervisors can go to prison if their election goes wrong.
Or
hey,
worse.
This is your job, and this is important on a national level.
Right.
If you mess up, and that'll make them be like, okay, yeah, I want this money, like whatever they're getting paid, probably at least, I don't know, a good amount of money to be doing the job.
Right.
So yeah,
fines, jail time.
There should be no room for error. There's no room for error in other places like I don't know, prisons and there's all kinds of error in prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like supposedly there's no room for error for a judge sentencing someone or convicting someone.
Right.
Although there are errors, nothing is perfect, and that sucks.
Right.
I think the question it raises is what other efforts were underway to subvert election law that we don't know about yet, said Eggers. The Florida Democratic Party says it's hired its own independent investigator to look into the case. It says it plans to release any findings once the investigation is complete. Yeah, so it's possible the independent investigator is legit, but it's also possible that he's like, yeah, what kind of outcome do you want?
Right. Yeah, and I don't think that's too crazy from everything that's been going on in Florida over the last month.
Broward County shouldn't be allowed to vote anymore. Honestly, like every election is messed up.
I think exactly.
It's weird.
I think they need to be like spanked and put in the corner for a second, and somebody needs to like
clean
thoroughly
house.
Go through their
or just fire everyone.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, sorry you're going to lose your job, but your job isn't going well. We don't need you if you don't know how to handle an election.
Right. And I do remember reading about voting machines that I remember reading about voting machines back in the day that didn't work correctly when George Bush was being elected. Mm-hmm. And that was in Florida, where those machines didn't work right. Something always is going on with Florida. It's a cesspool of corruption.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is like the drastic change our future would have taken, or where we are now, if because Gore originally won the vote,
right?
And then I think it was something to do with Broward County, maybe, or it was Florida,
something
that messed up and had
it was
a recount.
Voting machines recounts of voting machines.
And it was
or something.
hanging chads or whatever it was. Like
right.
It was because you were supposed to punch out the card, and the ones that were hanging still that weren't completely punched out, they didn't count.
Yeah,
it was something
and I think
stupid.
that was like in the early days of the voting machine being used on a wide scale. But
it wasn't a machine though. It was cards. It was like paper,
cards.
I think.
Was it?
I actually have no idea. But
yeah, I don't know.
But I know that you were supposed to punch out like with a hole puncher,
right,
where you wanted to go, and then if it was still connected slightly, they'd be like, nope, it doesn't count. Which actually, if you were getting rid of all of them like that, the average should remain the same. Because on average, people will have them still connected a little bit, the same amount.
Right.
Unless Democrats are more inclined to make sure they're completely punched off, which would be weird.
That would be weird. I don't get why.
Unless they were told to do that. Like, okay, we're not counting the ones that are hanging. Don't tell the Republicans, though.
Right. Like, you didn't punch the hole out good enough. Sorry, it doesn't count.
Yeah, so like it would be like a huge difference. But I bet if we looked up the statistics of Democrat versus Republican during that election, we would see that it was just moot. It didn't matter. They all messed up the same amount. But I guess I can't understand why they would say that if it was partially punched out, they didn't want to count it, because who knows if like, I mean, what's the limit of still being connected? If it had a little bit of disconnect, you can't count that.
I don't know. And
I guess it could have been like if it was like 3/4 or more punched out, that would have counted. But then you have to start measuring the amount. It gets pretty, yeah. So you could just wipe out all of those votes and you would have the same average probably. But I don't know. I'm saying basically there's something. What I was going to say is Al Gore would have won. Where would our country be right now? He would have given a crap about climate change, a lot, know. And then we probably, I mean, we wouldn't have Bush. 9/11 would have happened differently for sure, because Bush was the one who against he invaded Iraq because Saudi Arabia committed 9/11 or something. Yeah, which was really weird. It's like, oh my God, Saudi Arabia did this. Let's invade Iraq. Like, wait, they're not the same country, right?
Right. It just didn't add up.
Yeah.
To me.
And what also was weird about that is how H.W. Bush, Bush's father, when he was president, he was going after Saddam Hussein.
Right.
And then his son gets into office and goes
after
oh my
Saddam.
God, this country attacked us. Let's invade the country my dad was focused on before.
For anyone who wasn't,
that's weird.
Like, for anyone who's alive that lived through that time and just saw news about it and stuff, it's the history books really write it differently than the way that you see it happen. So
Yeah.
it's like a lot of people don't really know about some of that stuff.
But yeah, so if Gore had won, we probably would have had a Republican in 2008. Right? He probably would have been Democrat, and because it always switches back and forth,
Right.
So then we would have had Democrat then, and maybe for 8 years. Then right now, Trump definitely wouldn't have been in office. It's so weird how time would have been altered, all because of something weird that happened in Florida.
Right.
Because Bush's brother was the governor who asked for a recount, right? He was in charge of whether or not you get a recount.
Right.
That's so corrupt, dude.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have had. It's like, yeah, you're the governor, and the governor normally gets to decide, but he's your brother. No, you don't. We need someone else to decide.
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of off track, but I don't know. Yeah, elections are. How are they so messed up? How hard is it to get it right? It's just ridiculous.
It's just Florida. It's shaped like a, I don't even want to say, and it's just out there in its own little country. It's like they need to just detach it and put it more closer to where we are, so they can kind of be normal again.
Move. Well, Florida's going to be gone soon.
The water would be better, and everything
With
else.
the rising sea level, Florida will be gone, and then we don't have to worry about their corrupt elections.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, if anyone messes up an election, they should be removed from office. Like, what? I don't understand. Unless someone in power wants this corruption, because I've actually never believed that elections were real. It's too easy to fake it.
I feel like people let Florida get away with more because they're out there on that little edge of the southern east tip there. Then they're just like, they're a little different down there. We'll just let them do whatever they want. I don't think that's the right thing. That's not the right attitude.
Yeah, corrupt votes shouldn't count. But I don't know. You have anything else you want to say about this? Yeah, I don't know. That's it for the article. All elections are corrupt. Don't trust them. Who cares? You never had a choice anyway. So whatever. But if you like the article, give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you think by leaving a comment, and check our description for our Patreon link if you want to help us, because that'd be awesome. Thanks for watching.